about the impact of COVID on people with CF. And as of December 3rd, we'd identified about 500 cases of people with CF that had contracted COVID-19. Just over 100 of them were under 18, so they were kids. In general, I can tell you that compared to where we were last March, when this first became a reality for all of us, the outcomes have been dramatically better than anything we expected. There have been 3 tragic deaths. One was post-transplant. One was actually a first responder. And that's never okay. But given that 500 people have contracted COVID-19, the outcomes are considerably better than we ever could have anticipated. And needless to say, we're thrilled about that. That having been said, vigilance remains the word of the day. And we are not even close to being out of the woods yet. In terms of the vaccine, I don't have that much more to share other than we have been very active with our advocacy efforts to ensure that people with CF are granted as early access as possible to the vaccine. We are supportive of the vaccine, and we will be getting lots of information out to both care centers and the community as that information becomes more crystallized over the course of the next few weeks and months. So, stay tuned, more to come. But I will tell you, just from having spoken to a number of our physicians and scientists, and I speak to them every day, every single one of them would line up and take this as soon as humanly possible. And if they need to do it on camera to convince people, then I can assure you they'll do it on camera to convince people. So that's where we are with COVID. And now what I want to just talk about very briefly is, what has been going on across kind of the 3 the 3 groups that we have within our 5-year strategic plan, which are cure, care, and community. So I'll start with cure, which is the one that people are usually most interested in. I'd be lying if I said that back in March, when everything shut down, we were really concerned about what would happen to the progress of science. And there has been some slowdown. We had to shut our laboratory for a few months. It is now open. A number of other laboratories shut down, and some clinical trial enrollment was impacted. And with all of that having been said, in May, we announced that we had struck a collaboration with a company called Microbian to develop an antibiotic. In June, we announced that we are working with 4D Molecular on a gene delivery vehicle. In August, I think this was one of our most exciting announcements of the year. We announced that we're starting an incubator, a CF incubator, with a venture capital group called Longwood. It's the first foray we have into setting up an incubator and working directly with the venture capital community. We're incredibly excited about it. In October, we announced that we're working with Synspira, both on a mucociliary clearance product and a non-porcine enzyme, which is going to be something that we really believe will become very, very important over time. And with enGene for another gene delivery vehicle. And then in November, Calithera, Matinus, and Polifor, all directly related to our infection research initiative. So as you can see, our key scientific priorities are still moving forward. The Kaleido label was dropped down to a 4-month label, which is just incredible. We have every reason to believe that the earlier these products can be administered, these modulators can be administered, the greater their benefits. And the Trikafta 6 to 11 data, which I am sure there's people on this call that are waiting for. The data was very positive. It's been submitted, and we are just waiting for that approval with bated breath. So on the cure side, given where we were back in March, I think it's been nothing short of a remarkable year of progress. We had an approval as well with Bronchitol. That was earlier than we expected. So really a tremendous year in cure. In care, in many ways, this was as big a pivot as any part of the organization needed to make. And I'm sure a number of you felt this pivot, but we jumped 3 years ahead in our strategic plan. We went from saying that telehealth will be important someday to we need telehealth today. And every one of our care centers pivoted to providing telehealth. We have now shipped over 15,000 home spirometers to people with CF so that they can continue to receive care virtually as required. This is an advancement. This is kind of classic making lemonade out of lemons. We certainly knew that at some point in time this was going to become incredibly important. But as with most things, necessity is truly a mother of invention, and we really raised our game this year. Now, there's still work to do to make telehealth really take hold. There's reimbursement issues, there's challenges across the board, but the fact that we were able to continue to care for the community, I think is a remarkable testament to the resilience of certainly the foundation staff, but the care teams in particular, and their ability to flip on a dime. We spent a lot of this year trying to provide as much education and support to our care centers as we could, both about COVID and its impact, and telehealth and the spirometers and everything else. So, you know, that's really been the care story of this year, and I think it's a pretty powerful one. You know, the community story, the story that you guys most directly write, although I think you are the authors of the entirety of the story. You know, in March, we made a decision that I can assure you, the staff that's on the call, this was a shocking decision, but we stopped fundraising. You know, for an organization like ours to say, we are not going to fundraise right now is a really, you know, that was a very challenging thing to do, and it was the right thing to do. And what we said to the team is, we want you to focus on nothing but supporting the community. They need support. They're nervous, rightfully. We don't know the impact of this disease on people with CF. Now is not the time to ask for financial support. Now is the time to turn it on its head and do nothing but provide support. And, you know, since March, we have hosted over 800 virtual events like the one we're on today, and only some of them have been fundraising events. You know, we have provided community education. Teen Advocacy Day was entirely virtual. It was an enormous success. We're collaborating as we, you know, never have before with our care centers for the delivery of really important content to the community. Again, some lemonades out of the lemons, right? It's been a wonderful collaboration with our care centers. And then over the summer, we said, okay, well, you know, we still need to fundraise. Fundraising remains an essential part of who we are and what we do. And starting, you know, in early June, as we got ready for the June 5th celebration of our 65th anniversary, we started to fundraise again. And we have learned a lot about virtual fundraising. We hosted our first ever Rose Up event that was kind of conceptualized and led by adults with CF. We had our peer-to-peer event. We had a national Breath of Life gala, which raised over $5 million. Giving Tuesday raised over $1 million. We've added well over 100 members to our Legacy Society. If you had told me, you know, we set a very challenging goal for ourselves in mid-May. We said, you know, it's our 65th anniversary, and somehow, some way, we got to figure out a way to raise $65 million. And I'm pleased to say is that we sit here on December 14th. My optimism is sky high that not only will we meet that number, but we will beat that number. And that is a testament to all of you. One other announcement I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, because I'm happy to answer questions about it. We also had a fairly sizable announcement in late October, where we announced that we had sold the last of our remaining stake in the Vertex modulators to Royalty Pharma. That was an incredibly exciting transaction. It was a year and a half in the making, and we're really pleased that we were with the outcome of that process. And we believe that we can best deploy those funds to further advance and speed up CF research. You know, as we cast our eyes into next year, I'd be lying if I said it was a crystal clear view. It's fuzzy. You know, we've already announced that we won't be hosting any in-person events in the first and the second quarter. I am reasonably confident that somebody will ask, what about the third? And my answer will be, you know, we're going to hope so, but we are going to let science and safety lead our decision making. It's the way we've made all of our decisions as it relates to our team, and it's the way we're going to make all of our decisions as it relates to having in-person events. So other than the car events, the drive-by events, an occasional golf tournament here and there, and a hike, we do not intend on going back to in-person fundraising events until such time as we are highly confident that we can do so in a truly safe fashion for every single person that's going to be in attendance. Obviously, that creates a tremendous amount of uncertainty for what the year is going to shape up like, how we're going to do things. Some of these events that I mentioned, Rose Up, for example, and the National Gala and the peer-to-peer event, we believe that those events might have some leg. We more than believe. Those events are events that we learned a lot from, and I expect we will continue to have some national virtual events, even when we get back to fully in person. We learned a lot from them. We think it's a really powerful way to bring together our entire community. I saw pictures from last year's annual meetings, and I've traveled to, I don't know, I can't even tell you how many of those I've delivered in the last 4 years. And obviously this upcoming year, we're going to do it virtually. Well, we're going to do it virtually for the entire country. And that's an exciting opportunity for us to make sure that we're sharing, one message with the entirety of the community. So we are continuing to learn. We're continuing to let safety and science guide us in our decision making. We're excited about the challenges that are coming forward, and we can't wait to be back together. Somebody asked me at a call like this a few weeks back, what I most, looked forward to, and it's the easiest answer in the world. I look forward to being back with the community. The community are the jet fuel. You're the fuel that keeps us running. You're the fuel that makes every single one of the 750 people that work at the CF Foundation want to come to work and stay motivated. And it's a lot better when we're seeing you in person. But we will take what we can get. It's nice to see you online. And with that, that's it for my prepared remarks. I tried to go through those pretty quick, and I think we're going to get some Q&A going now. So.
Sounds good. Thank you, Marc. So first question, development is of course the priority. How might working with the venture capital impact the potential affordability of new medications?
What we're doing with the venture community is so far off. So you have to realize this is, really early stage research, a long ways from being fruition. I wouldn't say that it has a positive or a negative impact on what could happen with price, the price of any product. I think, the market defines those. I should be very clear. We do not have the ability to drive decision-making around price. But what we really do focus as an awful lot of time and energy on is access. We want everyone to be able to access a product regardless of its cost, and do so in an affordable way with good, adequate health insurance. And that will continue to be our focus. I would like to think that as more and more products come to market, the market will take care of itself. It does in most other areas. One or two competitors is insufficient, however. We need a lot of products on market. And we need that most importantly for people with CF. We are a long ways from done. We have an awful lot of work still to do to make sure that every single person living with CF has a treatment and ultimately a cure. So I don't think that's necessarily a firm answer, because there is no answer. I don't think it has a positive or a negative. I think what working with the venture community does more than anything else is it dramatically increases the shots on goal that we're getting to take.
Great. And then do you know the status of Trikafta on the 6 to 11 age group? Did 2020 affect the progression of these trials?
It did not. That data has been submitted. We know that the data was incredibly positive. It is sitting at the FDA, and we remain incredibly optimistic that we will hear about that within the first quarter of next year, and unless the FDA is in a mood to give us a really early holiday present, but I think they might be otherwise occupied this month. So I think the most likely outcome is first quarter of next year. It did not change because of the pandemic.
That's fabulous. And then what impact do you think virtual Great Strides will have on our fundraising?
There's nothing like being in person, but I think this community has risen to the challenge that was created in 2020 when it came out of nowhere and we couldn't plan. I think we've learned a lot. I think we will do even better. We had a number of virtual events this year that did better than the in-person events had done the prior year. And it's not just because we didn't have the expenses of running the event. It's because people were able to engage their friends and family in other markets to be included in something that they otherwise wouldn't be included in. So if they were they were able to do a Great Strides walk or a bike ride where they otherwise wouldn't have, because it was purely a local event and they didn't feel like they were supporting, their loved ones. So we had a number of events that did better than we had done in the prior year, and that was before we learned as much as we've learned. So I think we have every reason to believe that we will be more successful in 2021 than we were in 2020, and I think what we pulled off in 2020 was nothing short of remarkable. And a number of the folks on this phone deserve an awful lot of credit for that.
I think that wraps up the questions that we have so far in the box. Mark, if you want to, anything else that you'd like to share that's spurred from those questions, and we'll give folks another second or two to add some questions. But
I think that question about the venture community is always an interesting one to me. I think and I hope that will be the first of many similar announcements where we take the approach of venture philanthropy and expand it out in new ways and break new ground. The same old is not going to work to finish the job we've started. We're facing very, very different challenges that require very, very different approaches. And I think that announcement in August is one to pay attention to, not necessarily because that will be the one that makes the difference, but more because I think it is indicative of a willingness by the foundation to continue to take bold steps that others are not considering to drive progress in CF. So I think that's just one other thing it's just worth mentioning. That's the tip of the iceberg, I hope.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mark. You shared a lot, and I think it's great to have these intimate conversations, and we're embracing the virtualness of everything right now. So thank you for sharing, and we have so much more to look forward to in 2021. So we appreciate your time this evening.
That is my pleasure. Enjoy your drinks, everyone.
Thank you. Well, everyone, all right. Thank you, Mark. A virtual round of applause. My name is Jenny Pagel-Geil, and I am the Executive Director of the Gateway Chapter based out of St. Louis, and want to welcome you here this evening for the festiveness. We are going to now shake things up. We have a great volunteer, Elizabeth Fritsche from Southern Glazer's Wine and Spirits. She has been hosting mixology events virtually for us throughout the year, and this evening she is going to mix up a few drinks for you all. They were sent ahead of time and also posted, but we'll share these recipes as well. So if you want to do some Christmas cheer, I'm going to welcome Liz and her mom. She's a great taster. She's a local celebrity as well. But Liz is going to start us off with a bourbon drink.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. Hopefully everybody can see everything okay. I have 3 quick, easy cocktails for you to make, 2 with booze, and 1 is a fun mocktail for your kids or for any of those of you that are trying to stay off the alcohol right now. So first off, we're going to start off with our winter bourbon smash. So first thing that you want to do is get any sort of cocktail shaker, fill it with ice, and then you are going to take 2 tablespoons of a jam. I picked this blackberry jam because I like blackberry. The recipe calls for a raspberry one. You can really do any one that you would like. It's kind of a fun alternative to actual fruit that you need to cut up or anything, but gives it like a fruit pureed mix to it. So I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of jam. And then I'm going to add the bourbon, the best part. So I'm using bullet bourbon. You can really use any type of bourbon you would like. And I'm going to put 2 ounces of that in. Maybe even throw in like a little bit more if you really like the taste of bourbon like I do. And then I'm going to do 1 ounce of triple sec, or if you want to go a little bit fancier, you can use Cointreau or Grand Marnier, just kind of a little bit fancier type of triple sec. So you're going to do 1 ounce of Cointreau. And then you want to add 2 ounces of orange juice. Put your top on. You're going to want to get a really good shake because you want to break up all of that jam that you have inside of it. So it says 15 seconds, but give it at least a good 10 seconds or so. You're going to take your glass, fill it with ice, and then pour your cocktail mixture in there. That's pretty. And then you want to take it and you top it with club soda. So the club soda is going to kind of dilute it a little bit, give it that extra little fizz to the end. So just top it with that. Give it a good little swirl, mix it up. And then you can take an orange and kind of take the orange zest from that. Give it a little spritz, put it on the top. And you have your winter bourbon smash. Pretty easy recipe, pretty easy ingredients to find in the grocery store, and pretty delicious. So my taste tester here is gonna move on with that cocktail, and we will move on to the next one, which is a sugar cookie martini. So, there you go. Now the sugar cookie martini is a fun, more dessert martini that you would probably want to serve after Christmas. And the thing that makes it the most fun is really the rimming to it. So first you're going to get your glass set up. So you want to take your martini glass and get a plate with vanilla icing on it. And just take it and lightly rim your glass, kind of stick it in, move it all around with frosting on it. And then you want to take just red, green sprinkles, whatever you have, and kind of coat the rim of your martini glass. As you can see here. All right, so now to make what goes inside of it, again, start with your shaker glass, fill it with ice. And then you are going to do 1 ounce of Baileys. I'm sure everybody has some Baileys. And you're going to do 2 ounces of vanilla vodka. I like this 360 Madagascar vanilla because it has a really strong vanilla flavor. Another popular one that's really easy to find is this Smirnoff vanilla. You can find that at most stores, so go with that. So you're going to do 2 ounces of vanilla vodka. And then my favorite, which is, they say it's the ketchup of the liquor world. You can literally put it on anything and it makes a cocktail good. And that's good old Di Serono on the rocks, you know. So Di Serono Amaretto, great addition to any cocktail. So we're going to do 2 ounces of Di Serono. And then the main ingredient to our really low-fat cocktail is whole milk. So you're going to take it and add like 3 ounces of whole milk. You could probably use half and half if you wanted to make it even a little bit more fattening. But I would definitely not advise using any other type of milk. Just it gives that extra creaminess. So we are going to put on our lid. Pick it up. And then strain it in our frosting rimmed glass. Maybe take a couple extra sprinkles, put it on the top of it. And then it says to have freshly baked sugar cookies hanging off the end of it. I worked today and didn't have time to make freshly baked sugar cookies, so I cheated and I bought sugar cookies from the store, but any sugar cookie is good. This one clearly breaks apart, but you get the point. Put a sugar cookie on the edge of it, and you've got a fancy sugar cookie martini. All right, Mom, you ready to drink that one? You're getting loaded up.
Yeah, I want to see what Mom thinks of this. She's our professional taster.
Oh my, it's beautiful, isn't it?
All right. I'm trying to watch the chat too. Does anybody have any questions so far about any of the ingredients that I used? Or just
Delaney loves your eyebrows.
Oh, thank you.
And I think everyone thinks they look great. I think these are great suggestions and seem fairly easy. You make them seem you're like the Martha Stewart of drinks, Liz. We appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. Well, I try to make, find easy steps. There's lots of fun cocktails out there to make, but
Let's taste it.
I've tasted it. It's
That's really
pretty delicious. A couple of those will knock you on the butt.
Yeah, that's a good dessert.
And you leave out for Santa.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Santa would like
Santa
that.
needs that kind of cocktail.
Santa and Santa's helper.
Somebody said I can screenshot this for Christmas. I know we sent out some of the ingredients on it. I do have a whole cocktail deck with some other recipes as well. So if you guys would like those, I'm sure Jenny can get those to you. A lot of good cocktails, especially right now with the use of cranberries. Just adding those to any sort of like Moscow Mule or anything like that is very simple. So we're going to move on to a mocktail. Everybody wants to kind of join in the fun and they might not be a drinker. So we're going to go ahead and make the Grinch punch. So I am starting with a pitcher and I have put some of my green Kool-Aid. Just to let you know, I found this recipe and I thought no problem finding lime Kool-Aid. Honestly, it's harder to find than you think. You can find it on Amazon, but I wasn't able to find it anywhere. But I did find Jolly Rancher green apple. So I think it's pretty much the same thing. So you could use that, or if you find your lime Kool-Aid, and make a pitcher of it. Because honestly, you wouldn't want to make a single cocktail. We know these are going to go down quickly. So put our Kool-Aid mixture in. And then we're going to add, I'm going to split this recipe since I have a smaller pitcher and I really don't need to make a whole gallon. But I'm going to add a half a can of lemonade concentrate. And then I'm going to pineapple. Okay. And then we are going to add water to that. And again, the best part about this recipe is the glass and how you rim the glass, something kind of fun that you can do with kids or just make kind of beforehand to make a little bit festive. So I have a plate of red sprinkles. And then I just have a tray with simple syrup. So I buy my simple syrup. It's really cheap. It's like $3. You can also make it yourself. So you can just boil sugar and water and make a simple syrup. But something to coat the rim of the glass. You could also use a honey or anything like sticky to put it on. So I'm going to take my glass, stick it in the simple syrup, put it in the red sprinkles. So you have a nice, fun red rim to it. Take it, fill it with ice. All right, and then you're gonna take your green mixture, pour it in about 3/4 of the way full, and then take Sprite and just kind of add it to that top. Gives an extra little fizz to it.
Isn't that pretty?
And then fun straws make everything better. So easy to buy on Amazon or get at the craft store, little red striped straws, but stick one of those in, give it a swirl, and you have a fun Grinch cocktail, mocktail. And it is sweet.
Give those to the kids before grandma comes over. If she's
Right.
on the Zoom
I mean,
call.
I'm sure the kids would love it. It's definitely sweet
I know,
and
I
fun,
think
but it's got a fun glass, and then you can lick the sugar too. So, yeah.
The kids would love that. You have to, Annie, you'll have to make those for the kids.
Yeah. So those are my 3 cocktail recipes. Like I said, I have a deck of a bunch of other fun stuff. So we can send those your way if you're interested.
What's your mom's favorite one? That's what's trending now.
This,
The martini.
This is a dessert. It's delicious. I didn't taste the Grinch, but that's really cute. This is really good too. So yeah, I'm a bourbon lover. I like this too.
I would say for me, my favorite is definitely this bourbon smash. It's a really popular cocktail in restaurants now to do these fresh fruit puree bourbon smashes with a bunch of different flavors, whether it be a peach or a raspberry or blackberry, anything like that. I've never actually thought to do it with just jam and buy, you know, you can easily buy the jam and get and add bourbon and shake it up. And it's a really, really good cocktail and simple.
Wonderful. Well, you always bring good insight, and I know I stole a few other drinks off of that list that you shared with me as well. I've been doing the cranberry gimlet.
Oh, yeah.
It's very good. So thank you so much, ladies. It's wonderful to see you. Have a happy holiday. Now that everyone's got some libations in them, we are going to switch it over to our Kahoot game, and I'm going to let Laurent kind of lead us into that. So happy holidays.
Thank you.